What's up, everybody? This is Mitch from Distinguished Ruffians, and for DRTV today, we're at Black Dog Cigar Shop. We're behind the bar here, the new bar that they have. It's really great. If you have a chance, come out. It's in Stuart, Florida. Again, it's Black Dog Cigar Shop. We're talking today with Robert Holt. He is the founder of Southern Draw Cigars, and this is today's DR Smoke Break. Alright, so Robert, tell me a little bit about how you got into the cigar business.
Well, it's a long story, but after my military career, I went into the corporate telecom world, wireless world, and that business took me all over the world. But most importantly, as it applies to Southern Draw, is I spent a lot of time Central America, South America, the Caribbean nations. It allowed me to travel almost every day to different locations as we tried to build these wireless companies. And what I found is, in those cultures, when the sun comes up, everybody goes to work. And when the sun sets, everybody takes a break, has a drink, has dinner with the family, gets ready for another day. Hard-working culture. But my getaway was sitting down having a cigar with somebody local, find a local shop. And it's not shops like Black Dog. These are small little kiosks, right? They have a couple of different options, mostly Cuban cigars back in those days. I've now been smoking for 25 years, premium cigars. Never been a cigarette guy. I haven't smoked the other herbs, but I tell you what, I fell in love with the cigar culture. But what happened over the years is I was introduced to families that grow tobacco, families that cultivate, families that process, families that make cigars, and it just became a passion. I think I hate to use that word because it's used so much in this industry, but
Sure.
Really, as an engineer, I wanted to understand everything that I could potentially comprehend about taking a seed and going through that process that is thousands of steps long, and the reference to 300 different hands, taking that little seed that looks like the size of a pinhead and turning it into that ash that we just dropped in the ashtray. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. You've done some great work with it. Now, from what I understand, you do all your own blending as well, right?
That's correct. And I would never go as far to say as there's no other influences. Obviously, we have great partners. We have partners at the production side. We have a lot of, I won't say mentors, but a lot of brands that everybody knows, whether they're blenders or whether they're producers or whether they're folks in the aging rooms and the fermentation rooms. You listen to all these things and you take the best of what you learn. And I don't have an encyclopedia knowledge of tobacco, but I know about our blends, I know about our tobaccos, I know about what we're trying to achieve with everything in the Southern Draw line. So those blends are mine, they are Southern Draws in a sense, but I would never say that nobody's influenced that, because obviously they have. They've influenced me greatly over the years.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, everybody gets a little bit of influence from somewhere. Where'd the name Southern Draw come from?
Sitting at a golf course in Austin, Texas, a good number of years ago with a friend of mine, Patrick Perrin, Double P, now lives in Seattle, Washington. He said, after a round of golf, which I shot 116, so now we know why I don't play golf, having a cold beer just like we are now and having a cigar, and he said, Robert, if you ever had a cigar brand, what would it be? And I reached over and I pulled out a beer napkin and a Sharpie, and I drew this logo in a little diamond pattern with some little scroll work, and it said Southern Draw. But the draw went outside the L went outside the Southern, and I kind of just put a line through the draw. And I said Southern is really a reference to the best of family, the best of faith, the best of conservative beliefs, and draw is really a play on words to say the science of a cigar. How do we get a consistent cigar? How do we get a sustainable cigar? The little things that make a cigar enjoyable and something that you can build a brand on. So I wanted to put those two things together, and Southern Draw was invented on the back of a napkin.
Thanks. Very nice. Well, I mean, it's reminiscent of how Disney got started. Almost,
Absolutely.
How many SKUs do you have, or how many blends do you have in the line right now?
We have 10 distinct blends on the market today. It started with the Kudzu, which was the Box Press Oscuro. This Firethorn Rosado blend that we're smoking today. Soon after that, we added 3 different quick draw lines: the Broadleaf, the Dark Habano, and the Connecticut, uniquely different blends. 2 years ago, we added that Rose and Sharon Connecticut that's just done very well. Jacob's Ladder. And then at the trade show in 2018, we released the Cedrus. After 5 years of anticipation, that's our new core line Sumatra. And then the 300 Hands project, which is it's 2 unique blends in that. So 10, 11 different blends on the market today.
It's a pretty wide variety. Do you have a favorite out of any of those that you go to on a regular basis?
I do. For me, I'm a mood smoker. It's about time. It's about location. It's about the beverage that we're smoking. It's about the topic of discussion. Obviously, I have a passion for all of those blends. But if I go into a shop, I have a rule. If it's a short visit, I'll reach for a Lancero. I'll reach for a Corona Gordo, because I will never start a cigar in a shop that I don't finish. I won't take it with me, and I won't put it in the ashtray.
That makes sense.
So all the sizes matter at that point. Now, at the end of the day, when everybody else is asleep, and I'm doing social media, and I'm doing, my to-do list for the next day, I might smoke a big 6.5, 60 Gordo, because I got time to do it, right?
Sure.
So my preference is 40 to 46 ring gauge, anywhere from 4.5 to 7 inches. I like that profile. I like the quality, but it's not something that while you're working in a shop or doing an event where you're pacing inside or outside, it's not the right cigar for that. Usually the Robusto or Toro or Gordo will work, but I prefer Lanceros more than anything.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that seems to be a very popular size nowadays. It's becoming something that a lot of people are turning to. Now, I understand you've been doing a lot of traveling this year. Would you say hit up 48, 49 states?
49 states this year. I think 48 or 49, I'll do the math. But at the end of the year, it'll be about 330 days of travel. And that includes Nicaragua and the other countries that we go to. But absolutely, we stay on the road almost every day of the year.
Yeah, so you're basically at home a couple days out of the year.
Right.
So when you get that time, what do you do to unwind? I would imagine have a cigar. But
Always. There's no unwinding. I think if you have a family-owned business where everybody in the family works and has a job to do, and then the jobs that are left, we all have to combine our efforts. Most people know that Southern Draw is more than Robert Holt. Sharon runs our customer service and distribution. We have a partner that handles the warehouse and actual shipping and receiving. Obviously, AJ Fernandez is our production partner there in Esteli. Everybody's seen his growth. But we have a number of other family members in the business that kind of spread across the United States. They help with sales, accounts. They help with doing their own events. We do a lot of pairing events, and then we do obviously a lot of charity work there. Everybody pitches in and helps with the charities as well. Focus on military veteran charities, focus on our 300 Hands charity in Nicaragua, giving back to the community. And then we've got some exciting things for 2019 that's going to allow the family to be more to participate more in some of our veteran charities that are going to hopefully make a difference in some of the transitional resources that our military needs when they leave the military service, get back in the civilian line.
Man, that's fantastic. I think the first time we met was a couple years ago at Cats Fest, which is CFW, which I know you do a lot of work with. But tell me a little bit more about the 300 Hands. Like, what is that going after? What does that support?
The CFW that you mentioned has been our primary charity. And again, we've been relatively small, and I don't know how quantifiable or how measurable our contributions, but it's everything we can do. We're going to continue to grow that. We've seen a lot of changes with CFW. Obviously, the FDA has some regulations that make it very difficult to collect donations of cigars and money. But we're trying to focus on that. So in 2018, we released the Ignite Project. And that was a series of 5 Humajar projects with new cigars, new sizes, where ourselves and the retailers that sold it jointly were able to contribute to CFW and some other charities. Now, obviously that was to active duty military. Next year we want to expand that to our veteran and homeless services in the U.S. But 300 Hands is a very similar project. With the difference is the 300 Hands project allows the people in Nicaragua, in the factory, in the fields, in the box factory, the label companies, to contribute part of their income and Southern Draw to match it. So when Southern Draw sells the 300 Hands with a retailer, between ourselves and the retailers and then the consumers, we're matching basically 25% of the proceeds of that cigar line is going back into the community. not going to a specific charity, going to a specific need. We've been blessed to do some surgeries, to repair some churches, to feed some children, to provide some health care that's outside of the social medicine structure. And again, it may not be a lot of dollars, but I'll tell you, the U.S. dollar goes a long way in Nicaragua.
Sure.
So these people are helping themselves, and they've just given us the ability to tell their story, share a little bit about their daily challenges, not only the great things. We get to smoke their art. We know what they do, but what we don't know as the general public is the challenges that they face every day. We only see what we see on the news. But if you're there firsthand and you see those challenges, anything you can do to help makes sense to us. So we want to do something down there. And the 300 Hands is that vehicle.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. It's always nice to see people giving back. And that's part of what this whole community is about. You know?
Absolutely.
It's when you smoke a cigar, if you sit down in a shop and somebody lights up a cigar beside you, you're immediately brothers. You know? That's one of the things I love about this community. Anything else coming out or coming down the pike that you want to talk about, or anything new with Southern Draw that we should keep an eye out for?
Well, most people know that we released the Cedrus, which is the 5th core line at the trade show this year. It was only released in one size, and it was to really honor the Hogan family, Phil and Shelley. Phil's retired Navy, and of course we always say that since Shelley's been married to him over 30 years, she also served 20 years in the Navy. And we're going to expand on that Cedrus line with the core sizes. So next year we'll see Robusto, Toro, Gordo, and that new Sumatra come out. We're going to focus on the charity projects next year. Ignite is going to have 5 new projects, and we're going to distribute that between a couple of things. And I'm not sure if, because it's not a done deal, but there's a good chance that the Ignite project is going to be CFW and the Navy SEAL Foundation. And we're trying to work together. We have 2 partners in Southern Draw that are retired Navy, Dan Peterson, of course, Phil Hogan. And what we want to do is focus something closer to home in San Diego where they're at, that they can touch and feel and participate in. So we're going to expand that Ignite project with 5 new cigar releases next year. Those are for my private blend collection. They're going to be very classic Cuban sizes, something that aren't on the shelves, so that between us and the retailers and consumers, that price is built in. Those donations, we all get to do it together. So nobody has to foot the bill themselves. So it'll make a difference. It'll be quantifiable, and we'll all be able to follow that charity. We'll be able to follow where the money goes and what it does for the people, and share that story back.
Oh, fantastic. Well, if there's anything we can do as, Distinguished Ruffian, let me know. I'm sure you're aware I work very close with Storm, and I do a lot with CFW. I'm a volunteer for him also. So if there's some way that I can help participate or even spread the word even more than just this video, let me know, because we'd be happy to.
I appreciate it. I think on the CFW side, obviously Storm's undergone a lot of health issues this last year, and it's a ship without a captain is tough to steer, right? I think we all know that. And it's not to demean the effort of the team there, but they have their challenges. And I think if your DR brothers and sisters can help participate, Southern Draw does over 130 events this year. And we're not the only ones. There's big brands, obviously Drew Estates and others are big contributors to CFW, but as a group, if you guys can get behind and follow some of these brands that really focus on that charity, when we do an event, anytime we show up, CFW is we're open to them making collections, collecting donations, sharing their message, sharing their missions. So if you guys can help with that message on a basis of participating in events, when we're in the area, other brands are in the area, if CFW doesn't have an event coordinator, doesn't have somebody that can physically come and participate and share that story, it'll go a long way, I think, to educate people about the value and the need of that project.
Most definitely. Well, I'll do everything I can to help support that, and we'll get our chapters involved in it too. Well, I appreciate you taking the time coming out. Hey, for DR Smoke Break, this is Mitch. This is Robert Holt from Southern Draw Cigars. If you haven't had the line, I don't know what you're waiting for. If you have, then you know how good it is. Coming from Black Dog Cigar Box at their new bar. We'll see you next time.